cornerback is at worst the second, if not third hardest position in football, but easy argument for one. And I know Sos can't really speak on it. I know everybody on the pod don't really, but Sherm was right. I think they left them out. I think that's a classic situation of 2-on-1. They jumped them. They're both receivers. They had their bias. Obviously, Sherm is a corner. They had their bias. But I think the idea of a man running forward to you and his job is to catch the ball versus you are running backwards while that man is running forward towards you. You have to not only predict his moves, because let's be honest, these 4-4s, you think you could just run with him backwards, you're a fool. So you have to predict the route, let alone actually maintain the route, while the play is broken down and the quarterback's telling you, hey, just I think corner is easily a top 3 hardest position. The only 2 other positions are also not wide receiver. If we really have to keep going, I think corner for me personally is a hard 3. I can change this at any point in time. Number 2 for me is offensive tackle. I think offensive tackle is ridiculously hard, not talked about enough. And number 1 is quarterback. I know it's casual. I know it's annoying. At the end of the day, the way when you factor in how fast and strong these motherfuckers really are, and your job is to throw the ball precisely, quarterback is the only stat associated with wins. Those 3 are interchangeable though. But I definitely don't think receiver is harder than corner. I think that was the situation of a nigga got jumped on television, so everybody's gonna act like he was wrong, and he was 100% right.
I feel you. I respect it. I think corner's the hardest. I think
that's fair.
O-line, specifically tackle, is by far the hardest position.
Tackle is crazy.
Offensive line, especially, I'm gonna specify on the tackle. First of all, the offensive line, and not even defensive line. Offensive line is the only position where you don't get a sub. Like you're in there the entire drive, no matter how long the drive is. If you can start from the 1 yard line, you're going all the way up the field. You do not get a sub. They don't.
Thank you.
You can't put your fist up and they sub you out. If you're the starting tackle, if you're the starting lineman, you stay in that bitch because you have the best chance of protecting your quarterback. On top of that, just like how Sage says these receivers are running 4-4s, 4-2s, 4-3s, nigga, you are going up against behemoths that are bench pressing the fuck out of everything. Niggas lifting 300, 400, 500 pounds, squatting 500, 600, 700 pounds. And them, they're getting faster and shit too. So you gotta do all that. You can't hold them. You can't hit certain areas on their helmets and shit like that. Like your hand placement has to be perfect. It's legit a song and dance in a rhythm you have to do as a offensive lineman. And I'm a nigga who I quit playing football because I wanted to be a tight end, and niggas kept trying to shift me in. And I say, y'all got me fucked up. You think I'm about to fuck my life up? trying to defend these niggas. I'll go hoop. Fuck it. I will go hoop. I got it. Like, I'm not doing this shit. Offensive line by far to me is the hardest. Second, I will agree, is corner. Third, I will say is quarterback.
Fair enough. We got the same 3. And those 3 are interchangeable.
I'm not going to lie. There's not a singular thing. And I think the real ones in the chat, I'm notifying them because it looks like they've actually played football. If there's an offensive line position that is hard or the hardest, it's center.
Center's hard.
I don't think that there's any debate that it should be
why is center harder than tackle?
See, I don't know about center being harder than tackle. I don't want
to interrupt you, but why is center harder than tackle?
Yeah, I actually want to hear this. I don't know how center's harder.
The amount of well, first of all, knowing how to read a defense and communicate that, and this is just the way that I was taught to play center. Knowing how to read a defense and communicate it, snapping the ball and having the responsibility to still get up and block. And then again, the way we play football, moving around, having more movement responsibilities than anybody, but maybe guard on the line, are part of the reasons why center. But I also don't think like offensive line positions are harder than quarterback or corner. I personally think quarterback or corner.
Oh, just those.
What offense are you in where I mean, I guess it depends on the situation.
Since like Pee Wee football, yeah.
No.
You can be the captain. I'm not mad at that, but
it's not that. I'm saying, what offense are you in where the guard is going to be more mobile with a running back in terms of blocking?
Now that's where I'm
then a tackle. But there are times where you're going to have your guard pull and then lead the charge going out versus the tackle. So it's really offensive dependent. So that null and void. You can easily have offense where the guard is the guy in motion moving. So I take that back. Center, only reason why it's an argument. Offensive line as a whole is an argument. I just argued left tackle tackle from the perspective of playing tackle and you having to basically block multiple positions. There are positions where you have to block a edge. There's a situation you have to block an edge and a linebacker. There's a situation where you got to block edge, linebacker, or even the defensive tackle, depending on how that defensive line is set up. So I don't know if you're guarding a 3-4 as a left tackle. Depending on how that fucking line, depending on how it goes, you might have the advantage. Other times you might not. You
might gotta pick up a corner.
Yeah, you never know. So, but I get where you're coming from. I can concede.
I'm sorry. I spoke during the almost segment. Didn't mean to do that. My fault, bro. But I'll say in terms of, while I'm taking tackle over center, and center is not too far off. I'm not gonna cap. Tackles can get isolated more. So that kind of soloed for me. I understand the idea of being the captain. I understand the idea of simply snapping the ball and getting up. That matters too. I know that's such a minute detail, but it matters. But I think tackles can easily get isolated more, and I think they also, unfortunately or fortunately in this case, literally can solo a game. You have a bad tackle. You have a right-handed quarterback with a bad left tackle. You're cooked. In any motherfucker that heavily watches football, 99.9% of them not in the head right now. You have a quarterback that's getting blindside hit continuously. It's over. Like what are we even talking about? You'll see games like with Kansas City and the Bucks go from Chief Shadolo to Chiefs getting that ass kicked because Mahomes ain't got a left tackle. It's over. It's cooked. So I think the impact on the game is more. I think you get isolated more. I do respect the center pick though. I'm not gonna act like the center isn't there. I'm not gonna act like
but even in that conversation, a solo where you know what's going on with the play, I think gives you an advantage. Now, if we were saying defensive tackle,
these tackles like
I would probably have
in the combo of 5.
I don't know. It's not, but honestly. For me, it's not between any like line position. To be quite honest with you, it's literally quarterback who probably has like the most responsibility with the shortest leash, and then cornerback who is at a disadvantage 90% of the time. And the way that these corners are coming in now, I mean the way the receivers are coming in now, everybody has at least like 2 good receivers, as far as I understand in football right now, where they're shifty, they can run a lot of the route tree. And they can also catch the ball to some extent. So you definitely have to be. I think at one point, if you were a B corner, you might get a guy that's running 2 or 3 routes out of the route tree. Now everybody can fucking run the whole route tree. They might not be the best at it, but everybody can run the whole fucking route tree. So I think you gotta be on your shit.
I think for the same logic, though, fuck safety. For the same logic of what he's saying at center, I think you say Mike linebacker or middle linebacker is harder than D tackle. Because I think not only do you have to damn near outcoach the coach, but you got to outcoach the coach and do shit in the front 7. And when I say do shit in the front 7, I mean every fucking thing. You got to be able to drop back. You got to be able to blitz. You got to be able to guess the right play. I ain't gonna lie. I think niggas do not give credit. I saw someone type earlier, and I'll take my drink because I can't reference chat. I saw someone type earlier that D tackle is underrated. No. Being middle linebacker, I think is disgustingly the most underrated.
You're playing 2 positions.
Like a nigga like Luke Kuechly or Kuechly, however, I think it's Kuechly. Shout out to him. That shit, what he was doing, niggas are not talking about it enough. That shit is easily, I know niggas like dabbing with Newton, easily the reason they got there is because of Luke. That shit was ridiculous.
That's another one. Pat Willis.
Yep, Patrick Willis as well.
Brian Urlacher, the greatest Ray linebackers
as well.
If you look at them, a lot of them have one thing in common. Them motherfuckers were savages at playing 2 positions. Them niggas had to be a safety and a defensive lineman. That is crazy. Like that's literally what that position was. And a nigga who said safety, I think it was Brax. You said safety, nigga, you're insane. If you're doing your job right, nigga, you have the easiest job in the world. Don't let shit behind you. There you go.
Yep.
Like that is it's boiled down to the simple. If we're just boiling everything down to a simplest form, nigga, don't let shit behind you. That is the job of a safety. If your Mike linebacker isn't controlling the tempo, you make a couple calls, you get a couple guys in position. But other than that, you keep everything the fuck in front of you and you make a tackle. That is it. I'm not saying I don't want to say that is it. Like it's not hard. Don't get me wrong. The kicker and punter have a hard
everything
job.
in football is hard. Everything's hard.
The fucking towel boy, it's hard being a fucking water boy. Shit, everything's hard. But in terms of comparing all the positions to each other, yeah, safety is definitely one of them positions. Pretty fucking easy.
Now I'll say this last thing, and this can be another segue argument. I'm not trying to hog the thing with my hot take of the week, but I knew Souls doesn't watch basketball, so Souls, a specific question for you. Football, fuck. So Souls, a specific basketball question for you. What do you think is the hardest position in basketball? I'm assuming the debate is between point guard and center.
I'd say center. because oftentimes like you really have to be a two-way monster, not monster, but you got to be effective on both ends of the court. And I feel like a center, more often than not, has the most defensive impact on, like, historically speaking, and even on teams right now. Like, if you have a really bad center, you're cooked.
I agree.
If you have a really good center, you can have like a top 5 defense in the league type shit.
I think now more than ever, it's definitely becoming center. I think I don't know why this conversation doesn't boil down to it, but this is the way that I like look at things. Any position that has like a super high replacement rate, like the turnover for that position is extremely high. I personally think that that's like the hardest position because you got to get into that top 1% in order to have like a super long career. I don't know. JaVale McGee just got signed by the Kings, and I think JaVale McGee has been playing for like double digit, 15 years or whatever.
Yeah, he's a vet. On the yeah.
Is there a center that's not like a Nikola Jokic or Embiid? Are we? And I can't even guarantee that for them. Are there going to be like centers like that in the next couple of years? Because honestly,
in terms of talent, like versatile centers or just centers that are keeping their jobs.
Centers that are really keeping their jobs. Because I ain't gonna lie, Derek Lively, there's already been since like not Derek Lively, since Mitchell Robinson got drafted, there's been like 3 or 4 Mitchell Robinsons. I ain't gonna lie to you. And that's just the way I say it.
Walker Kessler.
No? Walker Kessler.
40 Mitchell Robinson since Mitchell Robinson.
Kessler. I mean, Walker Kessler is going to keep his job. I think Jalen Duren, and I'm thinking of young guys who potentially are going to be able to stay, barring the teams just blowing it up. So they get their job, they keep their job. Jalen Duren, he just got he probably wrestled the job from Stewart and James Wiseman over the summer. He's probably going to keep his job as the center in Detroit. Chet, most likely, if they decide to play him at center, barring health, he's definitely going to keep his job as the center. Wemby.
I think Kevin Looney's gonna be here. I know that he's not the best center, but
I don't know if we're counting a guy that's coming off the bench. I thought we was just talking about starters.
I was talking about niggas in general. Yeah.
Looney's keeping his job. If we're gonna say like a guy like JaVale McGee who's gonna stay in the league and constantly keep a job, yeah, Looney's gonna stay in the league. I would say
there's a lot, to be honest with you.
There's more than you think. Again, if we're talking about starters,
and Looney is like 6'9". I know he's a center,
but he played. He played. This is about to say. I'm not even gonna say how I was originally gonna say. He plays like he's not 6'9". Yeah, he plays like he's not 6'9". Like he's like easily boarding motherfuckers, roughing up 7-footer plus ass niggas.
He's been there 8 years. Somebody said Steven Adams. Steven Adams has been 10. I haven't done this calculation on JaVale, but it's 4, 6, 8, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. 19 will be this year. Now, that's a long time.
That is a long time.
That's a long time. And some of these might be like searing some years, so I probably got that number wrong. But from 08 till 2023, 21 to 35. That's a long time. I don't know how many centers, because I'm honestly, I feel like they're just personally just gonna be replaced. I don't know. I could be wrong. Even with like a Steven Adams, the only reason why I think Steven Adams is hanging on is because he's got like good teammate syndrome. But like, I'm not trusting Steven Adams in no games, to be quite honest with you. Get that nigga out in some space. He's getting fucking cooked.
Damn.
I could be wrong.
I do also think that to close it, I guess I do also think what defines a good center gets changed the most, and therefore it's number one. That's why I agree with Souls. I think what makes a good center changes literally with every era of basketball. Sometimes you have to shoot. Sometimes it don't really matter if you can shoot. Now it's about defending guards, in my opinion. Prior to that, it was post game. So I think that by itself literally translates.
Hot take. I think point guard is the hardest position in the NBA.
That's my number 2. I'm not mad at it.
I would think point guard is harder than center, just because coming into the game. And when I say a point guard, I mean, I guess I got to put the caveat. I would say guys who are
initiating plays. I know.
Yeah, actual point guards. I would say guys that with actual point guard responsibilities come in. I mean, from day one, not guys who I guess learn and inch their way into. Guys who Trae Young. I feel like Trae Young's job. And I'm using him just because he was a guy who came into the game undersized, had his skill set, but was a real true point guard. And from day one, had the responsibility. You have to learn an NBA system, learn the offense, learn the NBA flows of the games coming out of 1 year of college. I feel like that is way harder than being a big coming out of 1 year of college and you're just learning big man defense, learning where to fill your lane, and learning to not foul like Triple J. Like I feel like that's way easier compared to if you're really about to run an offense, running that offense, learning your teammates, learning you're 19 years old and you're trying to command a fucking 31-year-old vet who's done had Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, and all these other great guards, and you're trying to implement what the fuck you know about basketball onto him and command that kind of respect. As a big man, I could be a 19-year-old big man and play with a bunch of fucking vets, and I could just do my role, fill in what I got to fill in.
Apparently, and this is what I've heard from the real ball nerds, the center position is like the hardest one to develop. It takes the longest to come along to that level and then keep them at that level as well.
Yeah, I think center's definition of high floor, but like hitting that high ceiling, nigga, good luck type shit. In my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like it depends on what you need from your center.
But you make a damn good argument, and it's easily, I won't even say gaslight. It's easy to argue that what we're saying about center is more so a value thing than a difficulty thing. In the same way about corner. Like corner technically isn't as valuable as something like a edge rusher, but nobody here is arguing that being an edge rusher is harder than being a corner. So
I think that's why these guys stay in. I think that's why these guys stay in the league a long time too. Like the reason why Al Horford keeps getting contracts is because they know trying to find an Al Horford at that level is going to be an extremely hard task to do. Now he's good at what he does, but man, Hawks had Clint Capella for 2 years. You be having these big men for like 2 years. No funny shit. 2-3 years and get up out of here. DJ had a 3-year career for real.
They don't running back to the league.
He did. DeAndre had 3 years, and then after that, he just kind of stuck around because you know we need a tall guy.
Do you think a position that is like we already said a position with a high turnover rate, and I'm thinking more of football with running backs. You don't think that will make a very difficult job, knowing the motherfuckers don't give a fuck about your job, and even if you do produce at a high rate, they will still replace you with a 4th round pick.
Yeah, running back. So running back, I knew somebody would bring up eventually, and it was deserved. Running back, I don't qualify in terms of, again, everything in football is difficult. Running back, I don't qualify in terms of the conversation because the job description in terms of what you're supposed to do on the field, everyone would argue in hindsight, in a perfect world, is the easiest. However, the world ain't perfect. You getting hit every motherfucking play. That's crazy. So it's the most physically demanding. You're the most hoed. But I don't think an idea of what a good running back should be in the skill sets of what it should be is the hardest. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, that's tough. I can further explain it, but that's what I think that is. You know,
it makes sense, but I can't. Only reason why I kind of with that is because you can have great skill sets as a running back. You can be pitch perfect as a running back, and if you are behind a shitty offensive line, none of that shit matters.
Very true.
You will blow all the tread on your tires fighting for 5 yards because your offensive line cannot block for shit. And that is one of very few. That and quarterback are the only positions where you can be pitch perfect at your job, but a bad offensive line fucks you. A wide receiver, you can be a perfect wide receiver, and the offensive line, barring quarterback, ain't going to affect you. Hell, Terry McLaurin has not had a consistent quarterback his entire career. He'll giving you 1,000-yard seasons every fucking year, and he has not had the same quarterback going from 1 year to the next. So you could be a good receiver, and you'll be fine. You could be a beautiful, perfect running back, and if your line is ass, hey, gang, you fired.
I'm a Steelers fan, Domo. I know.
That's what I said.
I've seen Hall of Fame O-line. I've seen what that looks like. It's just Brady in the way. I've seen Najee Harris run behind that fucking O-line. I'm telling you that nigga's him. Just can't prove it. I'm telling you it's him.
Robinson. 4 years of Bijan Robinson is not worth missing out on Jalen Carter.
Your line better than that, though. Y'all line.
4 years of Bijan Robinson.
Omar saying this shit until Bijan be a top 2 running back. Omar gonna have a jersey.
Bijan Robinson does
you
not.
You Trae Young, Damo. Come on, man.
Hey, it's gonna be a Bijan fathead right under that Captain America shield.
I'd rather have the combination of Jalen Carter and Deuce Vaughn. So
The only thing I give you, the only name I will give you in terms of saying I don't care about Bijan is Jalen Carter. He only slid because of the off field shit. I will not concede. I will concede. I got Jalen Carter, but Bijan a dog, boy.
Bijan a dog.
I don't care how corny it is.
Until he's running all over Atlanta. Now this nigga's like, hey,
that's what I'm saying.
We one piece away. All right, but you seen
Deuce Vaughn run the ball?
You mean a midget?
All right, we'll get off football.
All right.
Bezos, come in with your topic, man. Slide it in.